Yet, stroke is preventable and treatable when quickly recognized. Signs of stroke include sudden numbness or weakness in the face, arm, or leg, typically on one side of the body. Other symptoms include trouble seeing, walking, or speaking, and unexplained sudden severe headache. Recognizing the signs of stroke and seeking immediate medical treatment can reduce your risk of permanent brain injury. CT or MRI may be used to help identify the type of stroke and appropriate course of treatment. Timely clot-busting drugs, image-guided endocranial vascular treatments, or surgery can result in a complete or near-complete recovery. Remember, you can reduce your risk for
Mic check
death
one,
and
mic check one.
from stroke. Seek immediate emergency medical help when you see the signs. For more information, visit radiologyinfo.org. This health reminder is from the Radiological Society of North America.
These are the sounds of someone taking their eyes off the road. Texting while driving is more than distracting. It's dangerous. Do yourself a favor. Do us all a favor. When you're on the road, stay off the phone. A message from CTIA, America's wireless companies, and the National Safety Council.
Are you a veteran who served offshore of the Republic of Vietnam between 1962 and 1975? Blue Water Navy veterans and their family members may now qualify for compensation and survivor benefits for health conditions linked to herbicide exposure such as Agent Orange. To learn more, call 1-800-749-8387 or go to va.gov and search Blue Water Navy. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs.
Today, a Gold Junior card of the new ESPN lineup. Every weekday, 5 to 6. With the sports you love to talk about. On SEMO ESPN 1220. Online at SEMOESPN.com and at 93.5 FM.
The Midwest is a real problem when it comes to, and that's where the Big Ten primarily is.
There are still a lot of unanswered questions as to how much of a toll this will really take throughout the program.
Conversation on Big Ten football on my TV show Get Up. I'm Greeny back with you on ESPN Radio. Delighted you're here. Great guests on the way. Louis Riddick in 15 minutes. The great Joe Montana 10 minutes after that. He'll be with me a few minutes after the top of the next hour here. Joe Montana will talk about what Brady is doing and a whole lot more. But you just heard both Heather Dinich and Paul Feinbaum talking about the latest from the Big Ten. So let's get ahead of what is going to be the biggest story in sports next month. Let's make this Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Here's what's going to be the story. There's nothing I love more than chaos in college football, trying to take a bunch of completely disparate pieces that have nothing to do with each other. The commonality is not nearly strong enough to appropriately judge one versus another, and pick 4 teams to play for a championship. Like, I love watching them do it because it's almost impossible to do. And so add this to the mix. How many games does a Big Ten champ have to play to reasonably be in this tournament? And by tournament, I mean the 4 teams that make the play. So by now, you're aware of what's gone on. Wisconsin has a whole bunch of active cases. They have their head coach has tested positive, and 6 of their players have tested positive, and those players are not eligible for 21 days. And more germane to this discussion, their game against Nebraska has not been postponed this weekend. It's been canceled. That game won't be played. 7 games each. That hasn't happened. So let's just use Ohio State just because it's the most obvious possibility, because they've been the best team in the Big Ten for a long time now. How many games does Ohio State have to play to be a legit contender for them? The obvious answer is they won't play 8. The idea that all these teams are going to get in 8 games, I think, is just, you're just kidding yourself. The idea that no one at Ohio State will test positive, nor anyone on any of the teams on their schedule will test positive, leading to enough of an outbreak that they have to postpone again. Because I've gotten used to using it. They're not postponing anything. They're canceling games in the Big Ten. They're not league-run schedules. So Ohio State winds up playing 6 games. Do we put them in there? They belong in there ahead of 2-loss Georgia, making that up. That's the discussion. Let's get ahead of that now. That's what the conversation is going to be. So every weekend, Big Ten fans crossing your fingers and hoping they can play these games. Because it's Ohio State in the bracket in the 14. Of course not. 4-0? What's the number? What's the threshold? It's going to be really interesting to see that play out. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. All right, one more thing before the end of the hour here. I promised you this.
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry, what?
This is one that really will sort of defy any analysis or description. Rob Gronkowski is suddenly starting to feel it there in Tampa a little bit. Playing well, much more part of the offense. He and his old buddy Tom Brady are having fun. Rob Gronkowski was asked about back-shoulder throws, the success that he and Brady have had together on back-shoulder throws. I repeat, that was the question. This was his answer.
It's like a saying my mom used to say, it must be maple syrup because butter don't drizzle like that. You know, you don't got much time to react, and syrup drizzles, you got to make that play. And a stick of butter, it's a block. You got to put it in the microwave, to melt it. That just takes too long. You got to make that play right away, baby. And that's why, that's why I'm like the maple syrup. That's why she used to always say that, because I'm quick with it. I just drizzle all over the place.
I repeat, the question was about back shoulder throws. What the hell is he talking about? Now, God bless him, I love it. He's drizzling all over the place. He's the maple syrup, he's not the butter. Dominique was suggesting there has to be some sort of sexual double entendre in there. If so, it missed. I understand why he's saying that, because Gronk likes those. I couldn't find it myself. One way or another, he's having fun. Feels to me like if Gronk is talking about drizzling all over you like maple syrup instead of a stick of butter, things are going pretty well in Tampa. Oh, by the way, the Buccaneers are the best team in the NFC, and they may very well be headed to a Super Bowl. Louis Riddick and Joe Montana, back-to-back next, ESPN Radio.
Coming up Thursday on the Max Kellerman Show. Is this one of the most important games in Cam's career? Don't miss it. Weekdays, 2 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all drop our phones. It happens. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless now offers this new Platinum Unlimited plan that includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus 20 gigs of hotspot, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and more. All on the best network. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Asurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
Get in on all of the football action with DraftKings, official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Draft your lineup and feel the sweat like never before. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stand with the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Download the DraftKings daily fantasy app and use code GREENIE. For a limited time, new users can get a free shot at millions of dollars in prizes. That's code GREENIE, only at DraftKings. Make it rain.
The fake shield.
See DraftKings.com for details.
Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Williams, and Sylvan Mahenton.
Carson Wentz is now the best quarterback in the division without Dak Prescott. I'll say it again. Now he's the best quarterback in the division with Dak Prescott not able to play the rest of the year. Before that, it was Dak Prescott, and Carson Wentz was somewhere fighting for the second spot with the other three quarterbacks in the division.
Jen, I don't know if your football coach is going to make it.
At 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio, or streaming live on the ESPN app.
There is unrest in Minneapolis.
Saturday, the UFC returns with a terrifying matchup. The legend, Anderson Silva, hopes to get into title contention by using his scary striking to turn back the always dangerous.
They paid him a lot of money.
Looking for his third win in a row.
What's that, Coach? Doing great.
Card of hard-hitting action.
You can't separate far enough to get that, you know.
I can zoom. We can just zoom me out.
Do a zoom.
Zoom in.
The Mina Kimes Show podcast. It gets to a point, if Cam can't play more like he did the first 2 weeks, it kind of feels like a lost season for New England.
Listen and subscribe to the Mina Kimes Show podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Thanks.
Are you ready for the GOAT on Monday night?
Get an extra year.
Or Brady in the box, ready to take the NFC
Or
the Giants ready to try to
Everybody,
You can have your team.
TB12 is ready to light it up.
everybody,
The Bucs defense is ready to shine. Are you ready for Monday night? Bucs Giants, Monday at 8 Eastern on ESPN.
I knew because we talked to
Coming up Thursday on the Max Kellerman Show. Is this one of the most important games in Cam's career? Don't miss it. Weekdays, 2 Eastern on ESPN Radio and
you're a high school
ESPN
senior,
News.
it's the worst year ever to come out.
If your favorite German club doesn't have a dance floor, or mixed and martial are your kind of art, and you could watch 30 for 30s for days.
What if I told you he wasn't the greatest?
ESPN Plus exists because you do. With Bundesliga, Serie A, UFC Fight Nights, and the entire 30 for 30 library. ESPN Plus lets you get more into whatever you're into. So if tennis is your cup of tea,
Count against what?
or fantasy is your priority, this
Right.
is your stream. ESPN Plus. Your sports, our originals, now streaming.
This weekend on Football Sunday on ESPN Radio.
It's always 63 and
With the
then
New England
81,
Patriots struggling,
85.
it's the Buffalo Bills who sit high atop the AFC East. Bill Belichick and the Patriots have won the division 11 straight years. And if the Bills want to take it away, they'll have to earn it. The Patriots and Bills. Coverage begins Sunday at noon Eastern on ESPN Radio.
ESPN podcast. No matter what you're a fan.
Welcome into the Fantasy Focus Football Podcast.
Really?
The kind of guest you're going to get on the SV Pod.
His reputation is destroyed. I don't feel sorry for Donald Sterling.
The final question comes from Legend.
A legend that is
It's like a small brush fire just broke out of my face.
Visit me now. Believe me later on. This has been ESPN Dale. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
ESPN podcast. Something for everyone. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
This Saturday on college football on ESPN Radio. Virginia Tech. Coverage begins Saturday at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
That's my game day.
Network. Presented by Dr. Pepper.
I modified it.
Coming up later, we try and figure out who's going to be on the field as the Atlanta Falcons take on the Carolina Panthers in Thursday Night Football. The trade deadline looms in the NFL. That's all coming up 4 Eastern on Shenango Jr. here on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
That they use in the NHL.
Pablo Torre, host of the ESPN Daily Podcast. When you want to go beyond your fear, when you want to get inside the score, when you want to get behind the highlights
like this,
there's ESPN Daily. Go deeper into the stories of the moment. Get the exclusive access and insider perspective that only ESPN can give you. ESPN Daily, hosted by me, Pablo Torre. Listen and subscribe wherever you
of your podcasts.
The way I understand it, though,
Augusta National is synonymous with spring,
got that same stuff with the NHL.
but special
I'm sure
in
you can probably
every
get on
month.
Amazon. I don't know.
And this year, we experience it through an autumn invitation.
So, tomorrow,
to honor the game, to celebrate a champion, where green is always in season. The Masters, November 12th and 13th on ESPN, with additional live coverage on ESPN.
But after, same thing. Where I'm on the call, talk to you.
Alexa, play ESPN Southeast Missouri. It's that easy. SEMO ESPN 1220 and at 93.5 FM.
So is this the most uncertainty going into a season where you just don't know what you have?
The St. Louis Cardinals may
That's got to feel weird.
message to their fans as to whether they plan on trying to get better in the offseason. They have decided not to spend money on second baseman Colton Long and let him
Just by looking at
school, to pick up
it really looked like SIU got a lot better after they played you. You know, I mean, as the season went along, it looked like statistically they got better.
7 seasons. Last year he won a defensive gold glove.
I don't think they beat a winning team. I think
that's right. That was one of the reasons why they didn't make the.
At the end of the day,
Gold glove catcher
who did they beat?
Pitcher Adam Wainwright, infielder Brad Miller, and catcher
Brad Weeder. You don't have any defense when you can't say, "Hey, we beat."
And I think whoever chaired that selection committee, when they were asked about SIU, that was one of the things that they said.
And then it would necessitate the team knowing its personnel better.
They say
not
UMass.
making the same mistake again. Rosarena, by the way, hit a major league record.
For whatever reason, if people think they're really good
for Tampa Bay.
From the spread to you just listen to people talk, they think this is their year.
We'll see.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
I gotta think Florida International's pretty bad too. The team that Jacksonville beat. I mean, they're winless. And I see they're playing someone this week, and they're like 27.
Every Monday from noon to 1.
And it's not even a really good team.
Get lunch specials and daily specials like 69-cent wings on Monday, 69-cent rib tips on Tuesday, 59-cent shrimp on Wednesday, 69-cent boneless wings on Thursday. Plus, they've got free Wi-Fi and a full-service bar and craft beer. Wings Etc., the definition of a sports bar.
All across the nation, we are here for our communities.
We're doing our part to get supplies where it's needed in order to fight COVID-19 together.
It feels good to be out there to assist our community.
I would like our friends and family to know that your National Guardsmen are always ready and always there.
Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Missouri Army National Guard. Aired by the Missouri Broadcasters Association and this station.
Now, here's your River Radio weather forecast from the Weather Channel.
A flood watch is in effect through this afternoon. The potential for 3 to 4 inches of rainfall. Temperatures will eventually drop into the mid-40s as winds gust in from the north near 20 to 30 miles per hour. Then some breaks in the clouds tonight with a low of 35. A sunny Friday tomorrow, the high of 54. And some more sun during the weekend as highs hit the low to mid-50s. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Jeff Marr.
Listen for updates 24 hours a day from River Radio.
12:03 in the afternoon, and we welcome you to Wings Etc. in Jackson. It is our inaugural coaches show from Wings Etc. We're going to be talking Red Hawks football. Coach Tom Matukowicz is here, and we've got a nice little gathering of fans here at the Wings Etc. I guess you would call this the banquet room. Would that be how you describe it? In the banquet room. So if you would like to join us, I think we've still got a few open seats. You can come into the Wings Etc. in Jackson, hang a right, come on back and join us for lunch. Coach Tom Matukowicz is here. It is game week, Coach. How you feeling?
Great. We made it. I had my last COVID test Wednesday to make sure I was able to make the bus, and I made it. So
that's the shortest trip of any place that you would go. And as far as getting the team prepared for a game like this, are you nervous that maybe you haven't had enough practices yet? I know you've been limited on how much you can practice.
the key to coaching is just focus on what you can control. I can't control the pandemic or how many opportunities I got. I just had to do a good job with the ones we had. And, I feel at this point both schools have done a good job, just to get it here. If our players and their players didn't really work hard on the protocols and sacrifice certain things, then we wouldn't even got to the game. So at the end of the day, I think it's a win. We're going to play for the wheel. It's going to be a great opportunity to play a game. It's televised. I mean, everything that you would want. And but yeah, I don't know if nervous, but my emotional eating is through the roof. So I need. If that tells you anything, I need to get out of this game and get on a diet at least till Thanksgiving.
Well, if you got the emotional eating up, you came to the right place.
Yeah, exactly.
Wings, etc. can
get
it done.
Make you feel better, I guess, until afterwards.
So normally, without pandemic-free football, how much could you practice leading up to the first game, and how much have you been able to practice leading up to this game?
We had 32 it's the same thing. We had 32 practices before we played SIU a year ago.
Okay.
They were our opener out of fall camp and everything, and then we had 9 this time.
Now you've got a lot of guys coming back off of last year's team. Is that something that kind of calms you down a little bit, that you've really got you got a bunch of seniors, got a bunch of veteran guys on this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think I haven't really thought about it. I think the biggest concern you have is really not the 9 practices. It was the fact that they've been not only not practicing, they've been quarantined or isolated or sent home for 6 months. And so the condition level that our players are in probably has my biggest concern of everything. By the time we got to where we get ready for a game, it was too late to really develop their conditioning. You just had to get them ready to play a game. And thankfully it's not a season, so get to this game and we'll be able to relax and go from there. But that's probably my biggest concern.
And on your way to the OVC championship last year, you were 7-1 in conference, 6-1 in games decided by a touchdown or less. And one of the things I know you had talked about, you think that is because of conditioning. You're winning all those close games in the fourth quarter that maybe in previous years they got away.
No, I mean, I completely agree with that. When things are close and they come down to the edge, the team that's in the best shape is going to have the best opportunity, and I think that showed itself. I also think that our ability to handle what just happened for 3 quarters, when things are at its worst is where you need to be at your best. And culturally, the connectedness, the leadership of our sideline, I think, also pulled us through a lot of those games. I mean, you think about EKU, like how bad did we play? And most teams would just throw the towel in and start turning on each other, but we found a way to come back. I don't know what we scored, maybe 17 in the fourth, but, the problem with that team graduated. Hell, I don't even know what this team's going to do, so we'll have to see.
I'm sure you get more questions about the quarterback position than any other position, and it's probably the most important position on a football team. Let's talk about your new quarterback. Andrew Bunch has transferred in from the University of Nebraska. Tell us a little bit about him.
Yeah, we're excited to see him. I think the biggest thing when I looked at just big picture, he's a winner. I love the fact that he won a state championship in high school. That's a big deal to me. If you got a good quarterback, you should have a good team at the high school level, and that's really good indicator. He went to junior college, played at a high level, and then went to Nebraska, was a walk-on and earned a scholarship and ended up playing. And so, at the end of the day, we knew we weren't going to be able to get our young guys ready, and now we're relying on all these snaps that Bunch has had all his whole career. Even though they weren't with the Red Hawk, he still brings that experience into his game, into the game versus SIU. And so hopefully when it's third down, he moves the chains, doesn't turn the ball over, and all the things that a good quarterback should do.
I guess you really don't know until the lights come on, right?
Well, you don't know until you get hit.
As Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a game plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Yeah, you sit back there all all preseason going, yeah, he's open. I'll throw it over here. And now all of a sudden someone hits you right in the face. You're checking all your parts, make sure it's still attached, shake it off, and you go. And that was one thing Santa Catarina was. He was tough. And, so it'll be fun to watch.
I know you kind of keep a lid on injuries, and you have to. I mean, there are HIPAA laws about releasing information about injuries. But until Santa Catarina had played his last game, afterwards, I'm sure you saw the tweet from his dad, and he just listed all of the injuries that he had overcome. I mean, that's got to be one of the toughest football players you've ever coached.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's mental toughness, too. It's not only physical, it's the mental toughness to have a really bad play and not let that play beat you twice and moving on to the next play and those type of things. And that's our job as coaches. I think one of the most important things we do as coaches is how we handle adversity, how we handle a problem Friday. Because guess what? It's going to be a problem. Something bad's going to happen. And I always tell everybody all the time, no matter how bad it is, you can always make it worse. And so we got to make sure we do a good job on our sideline of managing our people.
And I don't know that everyone knows this. People that follow the program do. Sideline is such an important thing for you. I don't know where other coaches rank it, but I know you rank it very high. In fact, you have a camera that is fixed on the sideline that you guys look at.
Yeah, I had to get a special favor to get it because everybody's, COVID, and you got to be in the bubble, and we're going to use their filmers, but we're bringing an extra guy just to film our sideline. Because the problem with this, is they're all behind me. My focus is here. You don't see what's going on, and I want to see when something good happens, who's not celebrating. When something bad's happened, who's over here in a corner having a pity party and all those type of things. So, tell them, film, don't lie. And I believe sideline's worth 3 points. We're traveling the whole team. We're only dressing 70, but the whole team's going to be on the sideline because we need that energy and that enthusiasm and stuff from their teammates, from each other.
One thing I forgot to ask you, you talk about how you've excelled in the fourth quarter. It's got to be the music, right?
Right.
The music you guys play on the sideline before the fourth quarter.
I wish that was it. We just play that sucker all game long. But, there's a lot to it. And
they going to let you travel your music?
I'm one of those guys that just do it and then ask for forgiveness later.
Right. It's better to ask for
don't ask.
Forgiveness rather than permission.
Yeah, so it's an OVC rule. It's not a NCAA rule, so I bet you there'll be a little speaker there on the sideline.
Yeah, and there will be fans now. Not a lot of fans, but family members are going to be able to go and see their kids play.
That was huge, and I'm very thankful that they made that happen because if I had a child and they were able to play one game this fall, man, I'd be really disappointed if I wasn't able to go see them. So thankful for that, thankful for the administration getting that done.
Now, explain to everyone who may not, have been following it closely, why are you only playing one game in the fall, and then what is going on in the spring because you're going to have conference play in the spring. Explain all of that for people who kind of been out of the loop.
Well, the OVC followed the NCAA kind of deal where the NCAA canceled the playoffs for the fall. So if you want to play in the playoffs, that's a spring deal. And so they allowed teams to have non-conference games in the fall if they want to, and then they're going to play a OVC schedule in the spring. EKU decided to just take their ball and go home and do their own thing, so they're not going to be a part of it. They're playing their season this fall and then opting out of the spring season. And so February 23rd or something like that's our first game home at Murray or versus Murray, and going to start that. So that's kind of where we got to.
And we're not shedding any tears for Eastern Kentucky. That is a brutal trip to go to Richmond, Kentucky.
Well, the problem is they had to come here.
Oh, so they get out of coming.
So, yeah, exactly. But anyway, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I really wanted to play this game. I think it's really hard for players. We're going to practice regardless. But it's hard for coaches and players to really work to get better if there's no test at the end of this. It'd be like going to school with no test. Like, what are you going to get out of class? That same way with a football game. When there's that little thing at the end, we all dig in a little deeper to try and get better and stuff. And so I think we did that. And I feel like we've already won. Like, at the end of the day, whether we beat them or they beat us, it was worth it. I'm going to have a really good idea of this team. We've kind of connected and team builded through all this, and we'll be able to get to spring, which is what it's about, is defending our crown.
How unusual will it be to be playing college football games on Sundays? For those who don't know, OVC football in the spring, they're all going to be on Sundays.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a whole new world out there. I mean, this whole COVID thing's crazy, and we're going to be practicing on January 8th. So I'm getting the biggest damn coat they make in Under Armour because I'm going to be freezing all January.
And, I don't want to, hammer the schedule makers, but how is it we got to go to Jacksonville State 2 years in a row? What is that about?
I mean, my wife said, hey, make sure I'm going to be listening. So I think
okay.
I'm thankful for everybody involved that we have a schedule.
But when you first looked at it, did you go, what's this?
Oh, but I did more than that.
So as you get ready to go over and play the Salukis, for those who don't know, you've got a long history at SIU. 7 years you coached under Jerry Kill there, and you guys went to a lot of playoff games during your time at SIU.
You bet. There's a lot of special memories and a lot of great football games. And one of my favorite memories, we beat Indiana, first FCS school to beat a Big Ten school, and Nick Hill was our quarterback. That was a great game.
And for those who don't know, Nick Hill is now the head coach of SIU.
Yep, and have a tremendous amount of respect for him and his program. And, they're from their budgets to their facilities and all those things. This would be a huge win, and of course they're ranked in the top 25, so it's an opportunity for a Brickyard win, plus, being able to put the 2020 team up in the locker room forever with the wheel.
And you're ranked as well. You're 25, and I think they're 24. So you got 2 top 25 programs going at it.
Yeah, and it's a national game. Like, not just the region is watching this game, paying attention. Like, this is a national game. It's playoff implications. A lot of people are interested to see what these two teams are all about.
All right, let's talk about your offensive line, Coach. You've got some familiar names back, but we see a couple of new names up there.
Yeah, I think this has been my one big hurdle I've been trying to solve since I got the job here. When I got the job here in Jacksonville State, just really, imposed their will on us. I knew we had to get bigger. Our D-line and O-lines were not big enough, and we have improved and been able to keep up with Jacksonville State. But anytime we left and played a Power 5 or some of these other teams, it's still an issue. And so, the O-line is one of those things where if we can get that right, we're going to be hard to beat. And we did a really good job recruiting. The success that we've had has helped. And then we brought in a new O-line coach, and so far they've handled everything really well, and I'm excited about that. We've got 3 starters back. We have a kid, Chiron Rogers, Northwest Mississippi transfer that is, basically beat out a starter to play at center, and that center played all year long, so that tells you that's a good thing. And then we have this kid named Josefa Ciatini, who's huge. He's like 6'4", 6'5", 385, and I've had to cut his weight, but still moves well. And so,
he's listed at 315, so
yeah,
315 might not get it.
Yeah, he didn't want his girlfriend to see his real weight, I guess, but he hadn't seen 315 since 8th grade.
So, how hard is it to evaluate an offensive line in 9 practices?
Yeah, you don't. You just you try to see traits in there and concerns that you have. And it's kind of really the whole team. Like, this may be my deepest roster I've had. When you look through there, we have some really good players. We've been able to recruit pretty good. We're not that thin. We don't have, like, the top draft pick or anything, but we have a good roster. so we have good players, but we're not good at football yet. There's a difference, right?
Yep.
Like you can have 5 linemen that can block and do all these things, but you got to do it together, and you got that feel, and all of a sudden they do this, you got to do this, and all that. It's just how long does it take us to get good at football? You know?
And oh, by the way, when you first came into the OVC and Jacksonville State imposed their will on you, you have imposed your will on Jacksonville State the last 2 years.
Yeah, and you know, it sure is fun. Let's do it again.
So you mentioned good players, deepest roster. How much have 2 playoff appearances and an OVC championship helped your recruiting?
Yeah, I mean, everything. I think we've also, gotten some really good recruiters on staff and things. But at the end of the day, being able to validate what we've been saying and talking about is huge. And when you walk in a home and you talk about all the things that we've been able to accomplish, those things sell. And people want to be a part of it. And we're now going head-to-head with teams and being able to beat some of them, where before you just you had to out-evaluate everybody else.
How often do you run across SIU on the recruiting trail?
A lot. Certainly from St. Louis to Memphis, we run into each other quite a bit. And, we haven't beat them much.
Let's talk about your running back tandem, and it starts with Zion Custis. Coach, I know we had you on the radio yesterday. You feel he's one of the best players in the Ohio Valley Conference.
Yeah. I mean, that he needs to prove that, but I feel like, if he's who we think he is in our O-line and everybody does what they should do, I think he should be the leading rusher in the conference. I do. I mean, but there's a long way between saying that and doing it. And we got to, he's got to stay healthy. He's got to take care of the football and all the things it takes. But he's just special. He is little, but when you look at him, he's not little. Everything's just so compact. He's really hard to tackle. And, of course, he's elite speed and agility and all those things. But he's also, rocked up pretty good.
When you are if you lined up maybe your 5 fastest guys at the goal line, who wins a 40-yard dash on this team?
I don't know. I would never do that. So I don't know. I mean,
who do you think's the fastest guy on the team?
I know I better win the lock and rock.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, I've never seen you beaten.
Right. So I need to make sure our players know how that works. Aaron Alston is definitely a speed guy. He's got the longer levers to really go 40 or 50 yards. He'd probably win it. Short yardage, Zion would be in the discussion.
So for a running back, what you're saying is that Custis has pretty elite speed.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Geno Hess, because Hess really jumped and burst onto the scene last year. You had 3 running backs that you distributed the carries, and Geno Hess had a very nice season.
Yeah, he did. He did a nice job. He's one of those guys that's very patient. He's a little bit different runner than Zion. Breaks a lot of arm tackles, more of a slasher, side cut guy. But he's big. He's in the 220s too, which helps him. And feel fortunate both those guys are good in the pass game and the protection, all those things. So feel good there.
And the one thing we saw when Hess was in the game, he's got a nose for the goal line, Coach. He's good around the goal line, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is. He was super productive out of Illinois. Like he had,
his high school numbers, yeah, they're nuts.
So he's good at running the football and those type of things. Both guys are great ball security guys. Like I can't even remember the last fumble that either one of them had. Like they're really good at it. So that is a key to the game, because if we got to throw it 60 times, we're in trouble. We're still going to throw it, don't get me wrong, but we got to be able to run the football.
Coach Tom Matukowicz joining us. It's the Red Hawks Coaches Show. We're at Wings, etc. in Jackson. The Red Hawks and the Salukis kick it off tomorrow night at Saluki Stadium at 6 p.m. You mentioned Aaron Alston's name. You lost, statistically, the greatest wide receiver in school history in Christian Wilkerson, who was on the practice squad on Joe Hobbs' New England Patriots. So Christian Wilkerson does practice with the Patriots. So now Aaron Alston is the leading returning receiver. He looks special, Coach.
Yeah, he is. I think he's our best draftable guy on our roster. Like he is really good. We got to get it to him. We got to target him and we got to protect and all those type of things because we think he's one of our best offensive weapons. Like a key to victory is making sure those running backs and Aaron are touching the football somehow, some way.
Do you anticipate SIU doubling Alston tomorrow?
No.
Okay.
No, I think they respect our run game.
All right.
Too much for that.
Zach Smith is back.
Yeah.
And here's a guy that has been valuable in the return game, and he's a master on that jet sweep.
Yep. And he's put on a little weight, so he's a little over 200 pounds, and really hoping that allows him to maybe break some of those arm tackles and stuff, because a lot of those sweeps or bubbles and all that stuff, you get side tackles and stuff. So hopefully he can break some tackles also.
And another speed guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's got a gear.
And Colby Cornett, Coach, has really come on. This is a guy that is converted quarterback to wide receiver. How big of a transition is that, and how far has he come since he stepped on campus?
He was an option quarterback in high school, so he's always an athlete, and he's just a tough competitor. He walked on, earned a scholarship. He doesn't weigh anything. He walked in right now, you'd think he'd be the server. Like, he doesn't look like a Division I football player whatsoever, but he's just got that heart and that desire that is hard to beat.
Who else, what other names are Red Hawk fans going to hear in the receiving game?
I think, obviously Crump was a guy that was kind of hit and miss last year with the injury and stuff like that. Hopefully we can get him the ball a little bit. Another tight end, Will Weideman, is a guy that's really impressed us so far. We'll see what the game looks like, but we think a lot of him.
And oh, by the way, returning to the scene of the crime, it was Austin Crump that scored the game-winning touchdown the last time we were in Carbondale.
Exactly. Johnny King's a name that we believe will be a premier wideout. He's very long. He's bigger than Aaron, and got great ball skills. Very physical at the reception point. And so can't wait to see him go, too.
You like those long receivers, don't you? It seems like you target these type guys, body types like Aaron Alston?
Yeah, we want those outside guys to be like Aaron, and then inside guys be like Z or Cornett. Yeah, but, we got to have the size out there, plus some of the blocking, some of the now screens and all those things. Being able to block out on the perimeter is a bigger deal than it used to be.
Yeah, and as far as the special teams goes, who's going to be your kick returner this year? Is Zach Smith going to be back there?
Zach Smith's going to do that. Our punt returner will be Shabari and Al, and feel really good about our return game if the other 10 guys are doing a good job blocking and all those type of things. Last year that was a huge play. I don't know if you remember, but it may have been Al had a 30 or 40 yard punt return, but they had to cover. I made him cover a kick a couple times in a row because they had a penalty. They kind of got tired, and we got the ball, I think, maybe on a 35, and then ended up scoring. It was a huge play. But last year they kind of edged us a little bit on special teams, so we got to do a better job this year.
Yeah, and your playoff team 2 years ago, one of the best things you did was special teams.
Yeah, and I think we'll be solid again, and it really helps you got Tiller back and feel comfortable if it is a one-score game that he's going to be able to split the uprights.
Kendrick Tiller, the returning kicker. Now, you mentioned Al Young, obviously a star at Cape Central High School, and was it a torn Achilles last year? Okay, so he tore his Achilles. He's back. How's he look? Because I see he's listed as a starter at cornerback on your depth chart.
Yeah, feels like, he's the same and still very athletic and got great ball skills and those type of things. Yeah, he's done well. He's starting on defense, and I look for him to have a great game.
Boy, you on paper, your defensive secondary looks strong. I mean, those guys have played a lot of football, Division I football, right?
Yeah, really have. You just don't know because it may be a different game. They may not throw it a lot. They haven't thrown it a lot towards the end of the year last year, and they have some really good running backs, some really good O-line, and so some of these DBs better get a couple pregame meals in there because that I think 15's up to like 245 coming through there. They're going to make you tackle.
Their running back, Javon Williams, coach, led the Missouri Valley Football Conference, an all-Division I freshman with 19 touchdowns last year. And he had a game against Youngstown State where he became the first player in SIU history to rush for a TD, catch a TD, and throw a touchdown. So he's one versatile guy you'll be seeing tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I mean. They may, they may try to just impose their will on us and run the football and play action, those type of things. So, we got to be ready.
Now, I'm guessing that they ran out of Wildcat, so you're going to have to prepare for that when he's in the game too.
Yeah, and you just don't know. First game this year, they may. I mean, who knows what they'll do, right? But certainly 15 is going to have the football, doing something, right? We need to be aware of that. And that's a guy that could beat us. He was actually their punt returner, so I don't know who they got listed now. But last 7 or 8 games, he was their punt returner at 235. Like, that's pretty impressive.
Very impressive. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll continue to preview the Red Hawks game with SIU Carbondale. Again, it is a 6 o'clock kickoff tomorrow at Saluki Stadium. Glad you joined us. It's our first Red Hawks Coaches Show at Wings Etc. in Jackson.
Sports bar, Wings Etc. in Cape and Jackson beg to differ. They take their sports bar status seriously. Wings Etc. is the host of the SEMO Coaches Show every Monday from noon to 1. You can watch SEMO away games at Wings Etc. Plus, get lunch specials and daily specials like 69-cent wings on Monday, 69-cent rib tips on Tuesday, 59-cent shrimp on Wednesday, 69-cent boneless wings on Thursday. Plus, they've got free Wi-Fi and a full-service bar and craft beer.
Red Hawks Coaches Show at Wings, etc. in Jackson as we get you ready for some Red Hawks football, which will be tomorrow night in Carbondale. And we want to let everybody know, since the fans only 2 parents or 2 for each player. Parents can go to the games, but they're limiting that to 2 per player. If you want to watch the football game, they are having a huge watch party at Houck Stadium. They've got the brand new big video board, and so the game will be broadcast on the video board. You are allowed to bring food and drinks into Houck Stadium, no alcohol, food and drinks, and if you've got the food, they'll keep you in the grandstands. We don't want to get food embedded in the field turf, and then you can watch the game from the actual field turf itself. Face masks are required, so face coverings, please bring those. But a watch party, the gate opens at 5:30. Kickoff will be at 6 o'clock. Coach, one thing that I wanted to make sure fans understood, we knew in the spring when they canceled the spring sports, and baseball had played, 14, 15 games, and it was announced by the NCAA that all the seniors, I'm just using baseball as an example, they all will have eligibility come this spring. So seniors who do not want to go and get their job and, if they've already got employment, if they want to come back and not miss their entire senior year, they can in the spring sports. What's the deal with football?
They gave the same exception, so every football player eligibility to start the season will be the same eligibility to start next season. So if we had one season going into this season, you'll still have that same year next year.
So, for instance, Andrew Bunch, your new quarterback, is a fifth-year senior, so he's a transfer. So you got him for 2 years, theoretically.
Yeah, so you can basically everybody will get 6 years by the time it's all said and done, because this year doesn't count, which is good. That's why I'm glad they gave that blanket waiver so people aren't opting out and all this silliness.
How has COVID affected the team? I don't have to get, player particular, but how has it affected the football team so far? And for guys who have gotten it, what have you seen? Has it affected them physically that you've seen? Because nationally, young people of this age, COVID has not been a major issue.
Yeah, everybody that got it recovered and certainly wasn't any kind of health risk, and no hospitals, nothing like that. We had at worst flu symptoms and then at best asymptomatic guys. A lot of I'd say taste and smell guys that lost that, but no, we handled it well and everybody was safe and are good to go.
And the one thing I guess now, if someone has recovered from COVID, now they've got the antibodies.
Yeah. I mean, that's right. If there was a pill to do it 3 weeks ago, I'd have took it, because if I'd have flunked this last one, then I wouldn't have been able to go to the game. So that's the concern we all had, but now we're good to go.
How much college football have you watched? I know during the season you don't get a chance to watch a lot of football. Have you been able to watch more football because everything's kind of jumbled?
No, I've watched probably 10 times as much as I normally watch that and NFL, just because you have that time and you miss it. And so I've been enjoying it. I got a former GA of mine is the defensive coordinator for the Rams, Brandon Staley, and he got that opportunity to be a D coordinator, and so I try to catch his games and stuff.
It's nice to have the best player in football on your defense.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're always a better coach with better players. So,
what do you see when you see Aaron Donald play?
I mean, you see. One of the best. I mean, he was literally born to do what he's doing. Like, he is just. But he's got it both in. Genetically, he was gifted, but he's got this mentality, this attitude, and this effort to match. And I mean, it's just hard to stop. A lot of those guys that are really good, they're not that hungry, and that's what comes in a problem at that level, because you're already making. I mean, you can't make any more money. So what is driving you? And it's that competitiveness that he has.
And what are your thoughts on the Rams used to be here, but Sean McVay, I know if you're talking with your defensive coordinator, he's probably got glowing things to say about McVay. He's pretty well respected around the NFL.
No, yeah, they're killing it right now.
Do you root for a team? I mean, I know Kansas. You got Kansas ties. Are you a Chiefs fan?
I'm not a fan of anything.
Okay.
I could never ask another man for an autograph. Like that always has baffled me. But I appreciate the Chiefs and the job that they've done here, and it gives everybody. But I'm probably just as much a Titans fan as a Chiefs fan, and you root for people you know.
Well, if you root at all for the Titans, have you ever seen a running back like Derrick Henry? I mean, would Earl Campbell be the guy? But I don't know that Earl Campbell had that kind of speed.
Yeah. There's some people that need to learn a lesson. Like, I don't know how many times these DBs are getting put on SportsCenter from getting stiff-armed, but, like, hey, stop doing that, or you're going to be on the 6 p.m. edition. But, yeah, he's a wonder, man.
And what do you see when you see a guy like Patrick Mahomes play? Have you ever seen a quarterback quite like him?
No, but it proves the point that what makes someone elite, it's when the play breaks down. I mean, at that level, too, everybody's good when, the read tells you to go here and you go there. But when the read tells you to go here and he's covered, then this guy's covered, then that guy's covered, now we find out where it's elite, and that's really why he's so dangerous. He's just hard to defend, hard to prepare for.
And you think you've got him, and he throws from some weird arm angle and throws a strike.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think the Patriots did a good job hemming him up there for like 3.5 quarters or something. I watched that game, and strategically interesting, how to slow him down a little bit, but basically drop everybody.
Weren't they dropping 8 in that game?
Yeah, dropping 8 and 9, and but then obviously it's hard to hold up in the run game, which seems like they're getting better in the run game too.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your defense, Coach, because you lose the National Defensive Player of the Year in Zach Hall. You lose an all-conference linebacker like Justin Swift. Who fills those guys' roster spots? I know you can't fill the shoes of a guy like Zach Hall, but who fills those roster spots?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, but we've been here long enough because we were kind of having the same conversation. I don't know if you remember Chad Meredith and Kendall Donnerson, Roper, and these guys that just were tremendous players. And then all of a sudden, who's this Zach Hall? And who. So hopefully we have that same thing going on. Mike Matthews is a kid we feel pretty good about. He's playing the mic. What makes our defense go, though, is our outside guys. O'Mardrick and Pirtle are the two that got to have good games, and they got to play well this year. Because they got to stop the run, but also when it's 3rd and long, they got to be able to rush the passer, which is a big deal. And so those are guys there that got to do a good job. Brandon Mincy played. They all played. So hopefully now that they're going to play a lot more snaps, we see lots more production from them.
So you're pretty confident you got a chance to get to the quarterback tomorrow night?
Yeah, I mean, one thing 2020's taught you is you better not have confidence in anything. But, I think I believe in those players. Like, they got to prove it. But, yeah, I believe in them.
On your defensive line, Coach, you've got DeTarion Richardson back, and you've got Bryson Donnell back. Tell us about Isaiah Hunt. He's listed at defensive tackle.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with DeTarion and Bryson Donnell. Those kids we recruited out of high school. They've been here a long time, played a lot of great football, tremendous leaders. And then we got some transfers. Isaiah Hunt kind of got the starting nod, just because he's just a relentless guy. Like, he practices 100 miles an hour. He just goes and goes and goes, and we think he's going to be pretty good too.
All right, this depth that you've had the last couple of years on that defensive line, you feel pretty deep about this year's team too?
Yeah, I feel like we're deep there. We might be a little thin in the second level, the linebackers, but I think our front and our back end are as deep since I've been here.
How much of a
it's
luxury?
Not on proof. I haven't seen him play well.
Sure.
I've just seen him practice well.
How much of a luxury is it that when you can detect maybe somebody needs needs a breather,
Yeah.
you can just roll 3 new guys out there because you've done that a lot.
Yeah, and we need to do that, maybe even more. Like, we got to play a lot of guys. Like, we're not in shape like what we're used to. So, you know, we can't have a guy take 75 snaps, or we're going to end up being dead in the fourth quarter and get beat. And so we got to manage the snaps well. And it's really with the big people. You know, the little guys, they run forever, you know. But these big guys, we got to make sure we're subbing them correctly.
How about the defensive secondary? You always notice someone in pass coverage, but if they're going to be run heavy tomorrow night, talk about the guys who can excel in the run game on the back end of your defense.
Well, it's really our safeties. Darius Knighton, who's been a great player forever.
All-conference player.
All-conference, and, you know, he's not only athletic, but he's physical. And so, you know, he's a great tackler, and I feel great about him. Lawrence Johnson was a guy that had a good year last year. You know, when we played Illinois State, you know, they had the great back, and he missed a couple tackles on that, and then he's really gotten better this year. So I'm looking forward to Lawrence and seeing how well he tackles. But they do a lot of crack stuff where they're going to have Al and Shabari. They're not out there because they're the best tacklers. They're out there because they can cover, you know. But when they need a tackle, they got to get it done. And like we've talked about, the one back's up to 245, 250.
And when you say the Illinois State playoff game and the great game that James Robinson had, for those who didn't follow it, James Robinson went from Illinois State University to starting running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's their leading rusher, and I think he was the first undrafted rookie to start at running back in the NFL in I don't know how many years. I saw that stat. So, I mean, you were facing a great player.
Yeah, it made me feel a lot better because we could still be playing and not tackling. So it does make you feel better. At least he was elite, you know. Reminds me, we played Flacco when we were at SIU in a semis, and he ripped us for like 375 passing, and I mean, I was just lower, and I mean, I was pretty down. But then you see what he did in the NFL, makes it a lot easier to handle.
Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, did a great job. We've had a lot of great players and played against a lot of great players. It's fun.
And when you scout SIU, what are the things that concern you the most about the Salukis for tomorrow night's game?
You know, offensively, we talked about some of their playmakers. They can run the ball. So at the end of the day, if we can't stop the run, then it's going to be a long day. You know, they're going to be third and shorts. They're going to be good in the red zone, all those type of things. So it's just whether or not our D-line holds up against their O-line. I think when you look at their defense, fundamentally they're really good. They tackle well. They use their hands. They got a lot better after our game. When I watch their film, and fundamentally they coach them very well, and then they have good players. Got a lot back. I think the whole front seven's back, so they got a lot of depth there too, and that's probably my biggest concern. But really, my focus really hasn't been on SIU. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, we don't know what they're going to do. We're not in their practices, and it's a new year, and we have an idea. But, you know, we just try to make sure that, you know, we're trying to get better every day. You know, and if we are the best version of this year's team, then we'll have the best chance to win. Whatever scheme that shows up on game day, we'll be able to fix. We're good coaches. We'll be able to fix that. If you can't run, if you can't block somebody, you can't tackle somebody, God can't help you at that point. Like, it's over. Like, so that was my point here is, you know, focus on the things that are going to make you better. And I tell them this is, you know, the moment you need it, it's too late to build it. Like, we got to build skill right now, because in a game, it's too late to get better at things like this. We're only adjusting and schematically putting things where they need to be.
So you are talking about 9 practices, and you would like to be in better physical condition, maybe more practices to get that way. Does it concern you? What's been your experience as a coach? Guys that maybe aren't in the pristine condition, do they open themselves up to injury?
I think we're good there. We did a good job of making sure their movements was good. We doubled down on those type of things. We haven't had a rush of injuries. We've been, in fact, everybody's good to go. So I think we've done a good job. It was a major concern when we started, so we started really slow. And I didn't do back-to-back practices. When we first started, I practiced, had a day off, practiced, had a day off, because if all of a sudden you went from, hey, I'm quarantined in my dorm room to drinking from a fire hose, you're going to be done. And so I tried to baby them along there a little bit, get their bodies adjusted, and it seems like they've done a good job and have been able to stay healthy, but you never know. I mean, of course, injuries are part of the game.
I remember a few years back, you had this rash of foot injuries, and you actually made some changes in your approach, and the injuries kind of went away, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like anything is I don't believe in, oh, man, we got bad luck. Like, I worked too hard to start going to wishing wells and throwing pennies in fountains, all right? So if you got a problem, go try to solve it, And so we got a foot problem, and then we tried to figure it out and found out some of the issue was our shoes. A lot of our big skill players that are 200-plus pounds in a skill shoe wasn't getting the kind of foot support they need. So we had a lot of arch issues, heel issues and stuff, and so we ended up putting inserts in all of our big skill, just things like that. But, yeah, when I first got here, we had all kinds of injuries, and it was probably more of a combination of recruiting. The more athletic you are, the more healthy you're going to stay, and then the strength and conditioning. Getting your body ready for the rigors of a full season.
And even Paul McRoberts broke his foot.
Yeah.
I remember.
Liz Frank broke his arch.
Yeah, it was, and he still caught the game-winning touchdown over third-ranked Southeastern Louisiana on a broken foot.
Yeah, that was fun times. I wish I could go in a time machine and go back to that game. I'd enjoy it a lot more.
So Paul McRoberts, some of the guys that have left, and I know he had just a cup of coffee in the NFL. How often do you get a chance to reach out? How often do you get a chance to stay in touch with these guys?
Oh, most of the time it's just through text messages and stuff, and he's doing really well. And, I think he's trying to finish his degree, which is something we're working hard on and hopeful. I text message with Zach Hall. He's in one of those spring leagues down in San Antonio. So he sent me some kickoff film of him keeping the dream alive, and hopefully he gets his opportunity. But, yeah, I wish I had more time to be able to catch up with all these unbelievable kids that have been able to coach for the last 6 years.
How about Christian Wilkerson?
Yeah, he's doing well and loves his opportunity for the Patriots, and
he could be a twisted ankle away from making the roster, right?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, if those people have a good opinion of you, that's going to make you more marketable to other teams too. So he's got a great opportunity there.
And as far as going over to the game tomorrow, how's game day going to look for you tomorrow?
We start about noon. We all have to get tested, temp check, and all those things. We have pregame meal, and then we have walkthroughs and meetings, and then we get on a bus, drive over. Usually we'll get to a game about 2 hours ahead of time, check everything out, and do the process of getting warmed up and everything, and then go. But yeah, we've had to practice. There's a couple things, they got the extended sidelines.
Now explain that.
So a normal coaching booth is 25 to 25. They extended it to the 15 to give the sideline more room. But, if people have COVID, they shouldn't be on the sideline. So, I don't know. But somebody in some meeting thought that was a hell of an idea. And of course, the optics look great. We're just doing all kinds of great things here. Normally we do the coin toss. We'll walk out to the bottom numbers. We can't do that. Only one can go out for the coin toss. You got to have your helmet on the whole time, or a gaiter or face mask or shield. Yeah. Along with that, don't turn it over. All right? I'll live with a shield thing. You turn that ball over, and there ain't anybody going to help you.
And as far as, on normal road trips in the past, you've taken 3 buses.
Yeah.
Is that going to be the case tomorrow?
No, we're taking 4.
I figured you might have an extra bus.
Yeah. So, again, it's inside and close proximity. So, we're taking 4. And, again, these are the protocols, whether we understand them or like them. It's not our job. Our job is to follow them and execute them.
You've had so much success at the linebacker position since you've been here. What makes you such a good evaluator of that particular position?
Well, it's not me. I don't do, I'm the head coach, and those guys do a really good job. I think what people don't realize is our D-line. Like, you want to play linebacker here because of the D-line in front of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're good up front, it causes those double teams and a lot of plays that even like a Zach Hall had, he was unblocked there. So I think that kind of goes there too. But we certainly value linebackers. I recruit a lot of them. They're a good special team player. We value some of the things that we place value on, others may not, like arm length, some of those things that I think make a good linebacker. But I think our defensive staff has done a really good job recruiting.
One other thing I did want to mention, because, we always have to talk quarterback. You've got a lot of guys. You've got a lot of quarterbacks on this roster. Bunch is the guy who's going to be starting the SIU game. But I think you feel like you've got a little depth at that position.
Yeah, we got talent. Like, you watch them throw, you watch them run. They look pretty in their little, tight pants and all that. But, we just don't know what we got when it's heat is on. But, yeah, and they're young. And so, Coach McDowell's got to do a really good job developing that depth. And hopefully you can get out of the one-year transfers. Now, I'm married to winning, so I get it a 2-second transfer if that's what it takes. But it's just more stable and better to do it from a guy that's been here a couple years and then gets in there. So hopefully we could do that, because I do, like you said, I think we do have some nice freshmen there.
Yeah, and if you look at some of the elite programs at the FCS level, playoff teams that are vying for national championships, a lot of them have drop-down transfers at quarterback, right?
Yep, for sure. That's the one position that's hard to recruit. They do leave. If they're not playing, there's only one quarterback that normally plays, and so there's just a little bit more pool there for guys. So, we'll see. See how the spring ends and what we think of these guys, whether or not we take another one.
And for those watching the game tomorrow, Andrew Bunch is a guy that is mobile.
Yeah.
Talk about
well, I think it's be similar to Santa. We're not going to sit there and run option with him or anything like that, but his ability to escape trouble, extend plays, those type of things are extremely important, because it ain't going to always look pretty. Like, it's the block, hey, obviously we want to try and block for you, but sometimes it's the block, hey, you got to find a way to not get hit. Like, scoot up, move around, make the guy miss. I mean, those are things that are really important, along with good ball security. So we feel comfortable with that. And I think people have been able to run the quarterback on SIU a little bit, so we'll just kind of see how we're doing.
And I go back to, the playoff win for your program over Stony Brook. You're down 2 touchdowns at halftime, and without the mobility of Daniel Santa Catarina in that third quarter, you don't win that football game, do you?
No, exactly. That's why I don't think we'll ever recruit a non-mobile quarterback here. I just don't know that we'll ever be in that, recruit O-line well enough that we can have a statue back there, and we're not going to be able to recruit that elite pocket guy, that can just make up for it with arm strength and accuracy. So,
are the elite pocket guys kind of disappearing in football?
I just think there's not as there's just not a lot of high schools that do it. Even like Jackson, they throw the ball, but it's not a pocket type stuff.
Oh yeah, he's mobile. Yeah.
And it's catch fire type stuff. You're not dropping back, letting routes develop, reading coverages, and zipping the ball in there. So it's just something that the high schools don't do it, so it takes a lot longer to develop that guy.
All right. What else do Red Hawk fans need to know before kickoff, Coach?
Well, I just two things. One is how thankful this coaching staff and this football team is to all the people that's made this happen. You know, a lot of times the quarterback or the coach gets, you know, all the love or whatever, but I'm talking our trainers to Hans is here and the administration and Brady Barkey and President Vargas. Like, this was really tough. There's 16 teams at our level out of 130 to get to play a game this fall. Like, that's how fortunate we are. And so we're super thankful. And also, the second thing I'd say is we're at a point athletically and even as a university, like, we need our community now more than ever. We need boosters and donors and fans. And as we work through everything that we're dealing with, I mean, we need you. And so I just want to tell you thank you for everything that you do and to make sure you guys know how much we need you and appreciate all the success that this community and this region has given us.
All right, and for those who are going to be watching the game, they'll see your Foxy face shield that you've got going here. Are you worried that it might fog up on you tomorrow night?
Oh yeah, it probably will be okay. I got 3.
Okay.
So I kind of got plan 1, plan 2, plan 3.
I was going to say, do you
if
have
plan 3 doesn't work, I'm going to be yelling at Coach Blackman. So I even got a 4th plan. Just yell at him until it gets better. But
I figured you'd have a face shield guy or like an equipment guy. Okay, get that thing cleaned up, and I'll go to the other one.
Yeah. So I hope that's the only thing we're talking about. I'm sure my list of problems will be way more than some kind of face shield issue.
Coach, can't wait for kickoff tomorrow. It's almost here, and SIU in the Southeast 88th meeting in football, and the wheel will be in the house. You're hoping to bring the wheel back over here.
Yes, absolutely, and this is what it's all about. Now let's just try to make sure we enjoy the process and have fun, and you know what's fun? Winning.
Coach, we'll see you in Carbondale. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for the Red Hawks Coaches Show here at Wings, Etc. on SEMO ESPN. Stay tuned. We'll get you back into regular programming here on SEMO ESPN. And don't forget, kickoff is at 6 o'clock tomorrow. 6 o'clock tomorrow. And we will have the game for you on the home of Red Hawks football, Real Rock 99.3 FM. The watch party will be at Houck Stadium, and they'll have it on the big board if you want to watch it there and watch it with a bunch of Red Hawk fans. So we say for a final time, so long, everybody, from Wings.